So I realized that I have something in common with another YouTuber. His name's Officer 401, and he does this first-person perspective as well. I don't really know how he does it. I'm trying to mount this thing on the bill of my hat, and it just doesn't work. So I'm going to have to reach out to him and figure out how he gets those awesome driving perspectives with the really amazing audio. My channel's nowhere near as big as his, but I'll get there someday, I'm sure. So I know there are a lot of people out there that are considering buying a 3/4 ton and up truck, but think, you know what, do I need that? Do I need, anything that big? Am I really going to be hauling anything? Would a 1/2 ton truck work perfectly for me? There's really only two different variables you have to think about. One is fuel economy, and the other one is comfort. If you're looking for a truck that's going to give you really, really nice ride characteristics, you're going to feel like you're in a car, and you're just going to love being in that truck, driving it every day, just because it's not banging you around and you feel 100% comfortable with the ride, then get a 1/2 ton truck. If you don't mind having a more harsh ride, being able to feel more of the bumps you go over, like on this road right here, this road's not a very well paved road, and you go over any of these bumps, you can tell how it kind of affects how I talk. It's just not the smoothest ride out there. A 3/4 ton truck is not going to be the most comfortable ride for you. If you have a family and you think that the wife or the children may be concerned about what they're riding in as far as ride comfort, if you're on the road a lot and you're not towing anything, a 1/2 ton truck is going to be a far more comfortable ride than a 3/4 ton up truck. Yes, your newer heavy duty trucks have definitely come a long way. They are far smoother than they used to be in the past. But if you don't believe me, just go to your dealership, hop in a 1/2 ton truck, drive it around, hop in a 3/4 ton truck, drive it around. You're going to notice a significant difference. Mainly because the unsprung tension you have in the springs and suspension on 3/4 ton up trucks are just designed to handle heavier payloads. They're designed to handle larger tows. The main reason why that's going to affect the ride is because when it's unloaded, that spring tension's transferred to the cab of the truck. So you're going to feel more of it. Now, when it comes to fuel economy, your 1/2 ton trucks have all come so far that you really are going to get far better fuel economy out of any 1/2 ton truck than you're going to get out of a 3/4 ton, unless you plan on towing with it. 1/2 ton trucks are going to get pretty horrible fuel economy if you're towing the types of weight that you would really want to tow with a 3/4 ton truck in that 10,000 pound range. Now, if you're not going to be doing any type of heavy towing, a 1/2 ton truck is going to give you significantly better fuel economy. And I'm talking generally in the range of about 17 to 27 miles per gallon, depending on which truck you're getting and how you're driving it, over what elevation, as well as what the wind looks like that day. Wind resistance causes a significant decrease in fuel economy that a lot of people don't take into consideration. On your 3/4 ton up trucks, fuel economy of those trucks are generally going to be in the 12 to 17 mile per gallon range, depending on where you're taking it. Again, driving conditions, how you're driving it, elevation, wind resistance, things like that. When you're towing, a 3/4 ton up truck is generally going to get you anywhere between 9 and 13 miles to a gallon, depending on if it's a gas or diesel, and the weight and size of the trailer you're towing, as well as wind resistance. On a 1/2 ton truck, if you're towing near the maximum payload towing capacity of one of those trucks, you're generally going to see your fuel economy drop anywhere between 8 or 9 miles per gallon, all the way up to about 20 miles per gallon, depending on what you're towing. Of course, if you're towing like a boat, which isn't going to have as much drag as an RV or a trailer, it's not going to be quite as bad. So you don't really have to worry about such great decreases in fuel economy with things like boats, flatbed utility trailers, and things like that. Again, depending on how much weight you have on the back of them. When it comes to the interior space, the comfort from the interior perspective, noise, all of that, that's really not a big factor anymore. Most of your 3/4 ton trucks now and up share the same body platform as your 1/2 ton trucks. So that really shouldn't weigh much in on the factor. Really what it comes down to, again, on determining the big differences between a 1/2 ton and 3/4 ton, aside from towing weight, right? If you plan on towing small trailers or, small boats, things like that, basically something that either truck would have no problem towing safely, then what it ultimately comes down to is ride comfort and fuel economy. That's it. Price isn't even that big of a factor anymore either, because you can opt for one of your higher trim package half-ton trucks, and it's going to be about $5,000 away from a 3/4 ton up truck in terms of pricing per comparable trim package, which is pretty amazing that, you know, an F-150 Platinum Edition fully loaded is going to run you almost $70,000, whereas you can get that same truck in a 450 package for about $75,000. Now, the other factor to think about, and this is kind of on that third tier category, if you're going to buy any of these trucks in the price ranges that I'm talking about, is your general maintenance on the vehicle. A diesel truck is going to cost you more, so it would be fair to say that a 3/4 ton up diesel equipped pickup truck is going to cost you more to operate and to own than its equivalent half-ton truck. Basically because you have to worry about other things, such as replacing your fuel filters becomes more important. The use of diesel exhaust fluid, or DEF, as well as oil changes, are far more expensive, yet they're not quite as frequent as in a half-ton truck. Your half-ton trucks, that 3-month, 4-month rule generally comes into play. You generally want to change your oil between 3,000 and 5,000 miles on a half-ton truck. On a 3/4 ton up truck with a diesel engine, it usually pushes you out to 6,000 to 10,000 miles between oil changes, again, depending on how you tow, as well as the need to add diesel exhaust fluid in your truck when you tow. And the amount of diesel exhaust fluid you burn through is going to vary depending on how often you tow and how heavy you tow. Now, there's one area that you really have to look at objectively, because this is something that's going to vary based on the type of person you are. And that's which truck is funner to drive. Your diesel trucks are far more powerful than they've ever been. However, they aren't going to be quite as peppy as your half-ton trucks. And I can say this because I've driven them all. If the question you're asking yourself is if I should get a 3/4 ton up truck simply because I want a diesel, well, that kind of changes everything around, because the diesel engine is a very user-specific engine. Either you're going to use it for towing, or you're just going to use it because you really want a diesel engine. And if you don't opt for that diesel engine and you decide to get a half-ton truck because you think, well, it's going to do pretty much everything I want it to do, it might cost me a little bit less, and I'm going to get all the features I'm looking for except the diesel engine, well, that kind of puts a different variable when it comes around things. There's a lot of folks who buy diesel pickup trucks, own them for a while, think, you know what, I want to go to a smoother ride, I want to get better fuel economy, so they go to a half-ton truck as their next vehicle, and they absolutely hate it. They just don't like the fact that that feeling of power, that feeling of capability is gone, and they've gone to a truck that feels less capable, and quite frankly isn't up to par with a 3/4 ton up truck. So personal preference really factors in quite a bit when it comes to whether you want a 3/4 ton or a half-ton pickup truck. I can tell you that there are times where I would have preferred a half-ton truck. I've taken my truck on long trips before unloaded, and I wish that I was in a truck that handled bumps and harsh road conditions better than my truck did. My truck threw me around occasionally. I went over some areas where they're doing road construction, and it really made the ride unpleasant. And I wish that I had had a far more comfortable truck in that type of scenario. However, 99% of the time, I love my F450, and I really wouldn't want to go to anything that I felt was less capable. Anyways, I hope this answers that question on what are the real differences between a half-ton and a 3/4 ton truck when you're not really going to be towing anything heavy or carrying anything heavy, and you really just want to see which truck might be better suited for you. If you look at those two main things, fuel economy and ride, that's going to be the biggest ones. Routine maintenance, things like that will also factor in there as well. But for the most part, it's going to come down to comfort and fuel economy. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, I'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribe. Thanks, everyone.